Hey listeners, Dan Harris here, host of the 10% Happier podcast. Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible Originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Harris or text Harris to 500-500.
The weather is cooling down a bit. The leaves are starting to fall. Yes, it's that time of year again, football season. And we all know the best part of any game day traditions are the ones that involve food. There's nothing like having everyone in your game day crew coming together to bring their best bites and argue over whose family makes the best chili. And while there's no need to mess with the perfection of game day classics, like a freshly grilled Oscar Mayer hot dog topped with Heinz ketchup and mustard, it's always fun to step out of your comfort zone and get creative with your recipes. Because there's nothing more fun than adding to your list of game day traditions, like making a creamy and delectable queso dip with Velveeta cheese that can be eaten with so much more than just chips. Now is the chance for people across the nation to find out whose game day eats reign supreme. It's your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food tradition to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
We got a great one today. This is your first client that we're gonna have on the podcast. This is a Flyer goaltender from Rhode Island,
Mr. Boucher.
Brian Boucher.
Wow, what's happening, Bouch? How are you?
I'm doing great, Lates. How you doing? Great to see you. I don't know if I was your first client. I mean, you may have.
Well, your first client we had on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think my first client was Dallas Drake, I think, or something like that. But you were one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Till you fired me, but we won't talk about that.
Yep, we will.
Oh, that's funny. We stayed good friends though, even after maybe for a while we separated there a little bit, but we stayed pretty good friends after.
Yeah, it got weird for a little bit. I didn't know if you wanted to talk to me or not, but
No, Boost, listen, us the guy.
Your life goes on.
Yeah, it's. I always felt like that when I got in the agent business. Listen, I'm going to get close to these guys, but they may have to fire me. It's a business too. They're hiring me to do a job. If they don't think I'm doing the job right, then so it worked out for you anyway. So
We don't usually start there, but do you want to start there with?
yeah, I guess we jump around a little bit. So Brian was one of my first clients. I met him. I had Brian Berard as client. They both went to St. Charles?
Mount
St.
St. Charles, yeah.
Mount St. Charles High School in Rhode Island. And then got Boosh. Boosh went out to Tri-Cities to play out Tri-Cities. How did that happen that you got to Tri-Cities?
So I was playing. See, this is why he was fired as an agent. You remember my goddamn career. So I was playing tier. So I made U.S. under 17 team, and quickly after that tournament in the summer, I went and played tier 2 in Wexford in Toronto because I wanted to go play college. I hated it there, and I'll never forget. I say this line that you said to me all the time. The advice that you gave me. You always said to me. You said, "Well, Bouch," you said, because I didn't know whether I should go play major, junior, or go to college, and I was rated like second round for the draft, and you always said to me, you said, "Listen, you can always go back to school. You can never go back to playing hockey." So you said, if it's in your heart, and you want to do it, go for it, and we can always figure out plan B later.
Yeah.
And that was the greatest advice I could get at the time, because I just needed somebody to tell me that it was okay. Just go for it. Yeah. And I did that, and it worked out well. I ended up going first round.
Yeah. Well, you worked hard at your game too. Like you really, you always did that during your career too. So, but it was funny when you fired me. Just again, listen, you do as an agent, like you've got an ego and you get pride, right? So, but I always think I hope I always said to guys, listen, we're going to become close here, but you got to do a trade for your career. So when you did it, obviously I didn't like it, but I felt like Bouch is doing what he has to do for his career. So it's funny.
I cherished all the talks that we had. You were always there for me, and I was mentally, there was some tough days for me when I played, and you were always there for me. But there was just a point in my career where I felt like I needed to just almost need a different voice. I just need. I felt like I kept banging my head against the wall talking to you. You're probably sick of taking my calls, and I just was like, I got to change it up, and that's why I decided to go that route. But that was one of the toughest things I had to do is that phone call to you.
But you did. But you know what? You were a gentleman about it. You were a man about it. You called me up and told me the truth. I look at a Boucher too. That listen, like a 50-goal scorer comes back the next year, and now he can't score a goal, so he changes his stick. It's not the stick, but I mean, like you said, you had to do what was right for your career. So there's never any hard feelings.
So you're saying it wasn't you, Tom? It was Boucher.
No. Is that if it's you are stirring the pot today?
I tried to change my gear several times. Like I changed pads, I changed manufacturers. I mean, I was running out of bullets in the chamber. You were the next one,
That's right. Remember you played so well in Philly, you went to Phoenix, and Benoit Allaire was there, right? And he tried to kind of change your game a little bit too, didn't he? Did he watch you play? I never really quite understood. And he's a great coach. I've heard many great things about him, but I never quite understood that, why he wanted to change your game.
I might be the only guy in the history of the NHL that had a bad experience with Benny. He's Henrik Lundqvist, Shesterkin, and he's had guy after guy that's just been successful. But the thing was, he just wanted me to play deep in the crease. His game plan was you play deep so that you can beat the pass on east-west plays, and that's it. You know what I mean? Whereas I was more aggressive. I played more on feel, sometimes reckless, which I needed to learn to when to go and when not to go, just like any young player playing any position. But he tried to get me to move back. I tried to do it. I did for a whole season, struggled. And then it was almost like he just abandoned me. It was like he found there was a new toy that came in the room, and it was Zach Burke. And he took a liking to him. And all of a sudden I was third string goalie, not practicing with the team. And I just had a real problem with that. For a guy that I put all my trust in him in my career, and for him to just kind of do that, I was like, man, boy, that was a quick turnaround, So, but he and I, we had a moment there, and but since then I've seen him plenty of times. Now that I'm on this side of it, and it's all good. I mean, we're all competitive people. We want to do well, and it is what it is.
I never just understood why, if you're a young player coming in and not proving yourself, okay, maybe he wants to change your game a little bit, but you've already proved yourself at the NHL level, and then to change your game, that was the part that really confused me. Like, why would you change the goalie the way he plays just for the coaches, right? That's the part I never understood.
Well, I think he really believed in what he believed in, which I have no issue with. But at some point, you got to realize maybe this isn't working for this guy, and either we should trade him, bring him to a place where he can, or maybe I got to work with him. That's it. But what ended up happening was just pushed me aside. I practiced for literally a month and a half before my shutout streak as a third goalie. I didn't practice with the team. Patty Conacher, the assistant coach, was the one that was shooting on me.
I didn't realize that's right too, Matt.
You know what I mean? It was like I couldn't believe it. Like that was so. That's why he and I butted heads.
Yeah,
it's okay.
All right, so let's jump back to Woonsocket, Rhode Island. So you played goalie right away when you were a kid. Did you start playing goal?
Yeah. So I was too young to play on the team as a skater on the Mite team. My older brother Bruce was a goalie who was 6 years older, and so they needed a goalie, so they just asked my dad. Just took a shot. I said, "Hey, you think he'd want to play?" And my dad asked me. I said, "Absolutely," and I never looked back.
That's cool too. So did you were you pretty good right away?
No, my first game I ever played, they have these in Massachusetts. They have these Massachusetts state rinks. They all look the same. So I remember it vividly in my head. I gave up 11 goals in half a game. They were trying another kid in goal too. He was a lefty using a baseball glove. Oh. And I gave up 11 goals in half a game. I went back to the bench, and my brother came down to the bench. He goes, "Hey, ask the coach to go back in." So I went and tugged on the coach and said, "Can I go back in?" He goes, "No, sit down." So I gave up 11 goals in my first half a game.
But you must have loved it, though. Did you love it right away?
I loved it. I loved it. Wow. Yeah. I love playing street hockey with my brothers and stuff. Like, they would throw me a net and fire the ball at me as hard as they could. I just loved the challenge of playing goal, and I like the gear, so it was a natural fit.
So did you dream of playing in the NHL right away?
Right away.
Oh, you did, eh? Oh.
I told my elementary school teachers, some people say they want to be a fireman, policeman. I said right away I was going to play in the NHL. And they would look at me like, I didn't know how I was going to do it. It was just such a dream. I feel like at an early age, I manifested it 100%, just because of the dreaming that I did, the posters that I had. I had Tom Laidlaw posters in my room.
Throw a dart at that.
So did Tom.
Yes, I am. That's funny. I was the same way too, right? Like first time I've told this over and over, I couldn't stand up on skates, but I was dreaming of playing in the NHL. I'm the same as you. I really believe, and I think for little kids out there too, it's important. Like, tell yourself you're going to play in the NHL and make it happen. Yeah, mentally.
Absolutely.
Brian, when do you get good? When do you start to realize, holy cow, I'm pretty good?
When I played youth hockey, our teams were pretty good. Like I had Brian Berard on my teams, he was exceptional. He was an exceptional athlete in every sport he played, right from the hop. So, we played for our town team, which we were so fortunate to have such good coaches, and Brian was great. And I think we pushed one another, but yeah, I'd say probably squirt, Pee-wee, I started to realize I was pretty good. Our teams were pretty good. We competed with, some of these big national powerhouses as a little town team. And then I kind of hit a wall. Once I got to high school, my 9th and 10th grade year, I didn't make my varsity hockey team. Only played like 3 varsity games my first 2 years of high school. Really a down time for me, just because, you as a kid, you're really good. And then you go up against kids that are 4 years older and you struggle, and didn't know if it was going to happen for me, but stayed with it. And then my 11th grade year, everything turned for me. Just all of a sudden got a growth spurt. I actually had knee surgery the year prior, so I was kind of banged up a little bit, but everything turned around, and the stars aligned, and it happened fast. I mean, I made U.S. national team as a 17-year-old for the under 17 team. And then from there, it was like, rated for the draft, go right up the ranks quickly, get drafted, end up in major junior. I mean, it was like a 4-year window where things just went boom, 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 and it all worked out.
So you're good, and then you got to get an agent at that point, right? And then this guy walks through the door.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, he's flexing his muscles there. He's got the IMG card, working for Mike Barnett, Wayne Gretzky, and all this stuff. So I was bright-eyed. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. No,
did you know who he was?
What's that?
Did you know who he was?
Yeah. He had one of the worst helmets in the history of hockey. that Cooper helmet that he's
one of the biggest ones too. And I had to sign a waiver because they had to make a special liner for this thinner because my head was so big. The guys would take my helmet after practice and they put the pucks in it like it was a bucket. It's like
it was a beer cooler.
Oh, okay. Yes, yeah, it would double as that as well. Yeah,
it's amazing because back then nobody wore helmets, and this guy was wearing a helmet bigger than bigger than a planet.
Yeah, there's a big sign on the back saying "wide load." Right?
Oh no, I knew what Tom was, absolutely. I was such a hockey fan. Like you don't understand. Like I watched and followed hockey as a kid, so I knew exactly who he was. I knew who he played for. And truthfully, I mean, you talk to Lades for 2 minutes and you can see great guy, great personality. I think it was a great connection right off hop for me and put me at ease. And it was a great match.
Yeah, we got along well.
Until you fired him.
Until you fired me.
So were you a Bruin guy growing up? Or you were?
No, I was a huge Canadiens fan. My mom and dad are from Quebec, a town called Magog near Sherbrooke, and they moved to the States in '69. And I have a brother and sister that are Canadian, and then me and my next brother are American. But man, I was brainwashed as a kid right away to be a Habs fan in the Bruins world here. So I used to drop. I love this. I used to drop pictures in elementary school. Well, because back then the Bruins played the Canadians 8 times a year in the old Adams division. So I mean, I'd get jacked up that day. I didn't listen to anything in school. I just was thinking about that game. I was thinking about fights. I was thinking about all the stuff that was going to happen in the game. And I used to draw pictures of Ray Bourque, lying face down on the ice with blood coming out of his head.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. And I to my buddy, I'd say, this is what John Cordick's going to do to Ray Bourque.
Oh, that's funny.
You know what I mean?
Funny.
I was a little bit nuts. But yeah, so I love the Canadians. I love Patrick Waugh. I loved everything about that team. I don't love him anymore because, I think, I didn't have a very good record playing there. So it's all changed. But as a kid, I was a huge Habs fan.
Right. So then, so you have the good junior career, you get drafted. Where was the draft that year? I can't remember.
Edmonton.
Edmonton, that's right. Yes, that's right.
Didn't you go with him, Tom?
I was there. Yeah.
He was. He picked us up at the airport.
That's
Who
right.
in the Blowfish, I'll never forget, was playing in the car. You know, you remember his song?
Come on, seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Up at the airport, yeah.
Yeah, that was a blast. So going into the draft there, we trying to recall, we had a pretty good idea where you were going to get drafted, right?
You thought Detroit was going to pick me with the last pick in the first round, and they were 26 that year. And I ended up going 22 to Philly. I think Philly may have been one of the few teams I didn't even really talk to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it was weird because I was not anticipating them at 22. I was waiting for Detroit at 26.
Right.
And I'll never forget Brian Berard's on the floor because he'd been picked first and he'd already done all his, duties as, what he needs to do. And he saw on the computer screen my name pop up at 22. And he started pointing at me in the stand. And I was like, and then they called my name and the whole thing, I blacked out. I don't remember anything after. I mean, I see the pictures. I should probably... I have this picture you can't.
Yeah.
Well, this won't be on, but I'll show you this as we hold on.
Sure.
Take a look
Sure.
at this. And that's
There are. Oh, nice go. Yeah. So we're looking at a picture here of Brian Berard in his Ottawa Center and Boucher in his Philadelphia Flyers jersey out the floor. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have a framed picture of you and your agent that day, do you?
I think I've got a picture. I do. I've got a picture of you and I someplace. So I got to get it up on the wall.
Yeah. I do. Tom, I do have. You got my son Tyler when he was born a little golf club, a little driver. We still have that. But
nice.
yeah,
Nice.
So,
Very cool.
Yeah, good
Cool.
dude.
So was Bobby Clark GM at the time?
he was. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was he? You didn't remember anything when you got up on the stage then?
Nothing, man. Like I mean, I've seen the video. Last year, I saw the video for the first time because I worked the draft for ESPN. And couldn't. Yeah, I was like, wow. I don't remember any of it. Like I don't. I just see the pictures now, and it was such a cool moment. And that team I played for in Tri-City, we had 3 first-rounders on that team too. So we had Damon Lankow went 5, and Terry Ryan went 8, and I was 22. So it was a fun. That was a fun.
It wasn't Sheldon Surrey was a high pick too, wasn't he?
Sheldon was a year prior. Yeah.
Oh, that's
a year older than me. He was picked. I think he was like a 3rd rounder. He probably could have been a first rounder with the way he shot the puck.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was like a man too. Like at 18 years old, he's like a man out there. Yeah.
He used to skate around and always look at himself in the glass.
Yeah.
There. He's a good looking guy.
That's right too. Yeah, he's got the long hair and all that. That's
Oh my God. Could he fight? Could he shoot the puck?
Yeah.
Terrifying.
He had a pretty good career in the NHL too. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Really good.
So you're drafted. You go back to junior for another year.
2 more years.
2 more years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was drafted as a 18-year-old, 17-year-old.
Yep.
And then I go back 18-year-old year and 19-year-old year. Yep.
I can't remember. How good was the team in the Tri-Cities when you went back?
So my draft year, we lost in the semifinals to Kamloops in 6, and they were the powerhouse team. They were going for like 5 straight Memorial Cups. They had like Doan, Iginla, Darcy Tucker. They were loaded. We lost to them in 6, and really because we took them to 6 and lost 1 game in double overtime. I think that's why I went first round. Because we showed we could go toe to toe with them. The next year we were good. We should have gone further. We lost in the 2nd round. I think the Kamloops again shouldn't have lost. And then my last year, my 19-year-old year, they reloaded and we had like 5 or 6 16-year-olds. We were terrible, but I got to play in a World Junior that year and we finished 2nd. So that was a saving grace that year. The year prior, we finished 5th at the World Junior. So it was, we had good teams, just underachieved probably a little bit. Bad goaltending.
So now, were the Flyers touch you a lot when you went back to junior?
Not a ton. I mean, Rajan Lemlin would come out and work with me. He was the goalie coach. He'd come out for like a week here and there, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Back then it was so different. Like I see what these teams are doing now with development and how many times they're talking to their prospects and what they're doing for them. It's boy, I could have really used all that. It would have saved you a lot of phone calls. That's for sure.
So Bush keeps bringing up the fact that we talked a lot. Bush is one of those guys when a lot of guys when the game's over with, it's over with, and that's it. Bush was not like that. And I can see that you love the game. So that's why, to me, it was like, okay, I've got to be there for Bush because he needs a little bit of a sounding board right now. There was some. Yeah. There was some times.
He's a goalie.
Yeah. There was some times sitting out in the parking lot there at Spectre, the old river in Philly. We've laughed.
Oh, man.
We've laughed with that. That's not you at all. Now that's you're a young hockey player, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's insecurities that you have, right? I mean,
Totally.
you want to make it so bad, you wonder what others are thinking about you, and you want to make sure you're doing the right things. But there's a lot of things that, as I look back as a 45-year-old, that I say to myself, boy, it wasn't a big deal, and if I just had to calm down a little bit, and just let the process play out the way it's supposed to play out, it would have all been good. But you don't know when it's done.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. I look back and I ask, like, do you have regrets or anything like that? And I don't have any regrets at all. Would you do things differently? Sure you would, but I love who I am now, and I'm sure you do too. You've got a great career, great family going on.
Yeah, I just wish that I think probably the one thing that probably gets the best of me sometimes is my emotion. I think I'm probably a little too emotional. It's probably why I wasn't as good a goaltender as I probably wanted to be. Because I think the position of goaltending, you just really have to have a level of calmness in order to do what you got to do at a high level. And that's why, like, you look at some of the greats, Marty Brodeur, like, looked like he was just like laughing out there, and he got to play 72 games a year. You know what I mean?
Carey Price is like that.
Carey Price, yeah. You know what I mean? These guys are just like they don't. It looks like they don't care. I'm sure they do care, but it's just the way that they're able to. Whereas me, I wore my emotions on my sleeve. You could see if I was having a bad day. You could see if I was having a good day. And, I think that those are the roller coasters that you got to try to avoid as a player. I wish I knew that then, like I know now.
Well, now doing all the TV stuff too, like you look at a guy like Shesterkin, right? How great he has played, but he's not playing that great right now. It's like you have that expectation they're going to be great all the time. So you're in junior. Were you thinking now those 2 years of junior, geez, I want to get to the NHL now, or were you patient staying there junior?
I was patient staying there because it was such a different time back then. Like there was no rush to get to the NHL. Like I knew this process, and you laid it out to me. It was like, look, you're going to finish up junior, you're going to go play a couple of years in the minors, and then you're going to get called up to the NHL. That's just the way it is. So, you take your time with it. But when you're taking your time, it's not that you don't want to be competitive and be the best in that league. I want to be the best goalie in the Western Hockey League. I want to be the best goalie in the American Hockey League. And I, because I wanted to validate why I was drafted first round, right? Sure. I just constantly always had that feeling that I wanted to prove to people that I was the best. And, at one point, maybe in junior, I was the best. I don't think as I climbed the ranks, you meet your competition, and there's some other guys that surpassed me for sure. Yep. But, I was patient with it all, but I was super hungry. Like I wanted to get there. I couldn't wait. And when I got there, that rookie year was the greatest year of my life when it came to hockey, just because of you're playing with guys that you grew up watching and idolizing, and now they're your teammates. The whole thing is surreal. It was just amazing.
Brian, do you remember when you got the call to make the big club?
I do. It's a great story. I was getting married that summer, and I was at my future in-law's house. I was sleeping, and I was upstairs sleeping, and my future father-in-law came up the stairs, and he put a newspaper article on my bed. And I woke up and I read it, and it said that Ron Hextall is retiring from hockey. And later that day, I got a call from Reggie Lemlin, the goalie coach, and he said, "Hey," he goes, "it's your job next year." He's like, he said like not my job to be number one. He's like, "It's your job." He's like, you're the next guy. He's like, "So make sure you come in ready." This was in July. I got this call. Right. And I'll never forget it. And boy, I mean, I got married that day. I think it was that day. And then, had a great summer and came in, and camp was awesome. Like I said, I mean, the whole experience was surreal. I mean, I don't think I had a tired day that rookie year. I mean, there was such magic to be around guys like Eric Lindros and John LeClaire and Eric Desjardins, Rick Tocchet, Mark Recchi. I mean, these guys are all legends.
And you had a great year too. You had a real nice year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it was just, the whole thing was magic. And the great thing was I was up for a contract after that year. So that's where
Laidlaw. Here we go.
Work.
I'll never forget that contract negotiations too. Bobby Clark was the general manager. And so they called me up. Mr. Snyder wanted me to come and see him, right? So that's the owner. Now you're going right to the top, right, to negotiate. And Mr. Snyder was very nice. We had a cordial conversation, but we started going back and forth on numbers, and he was obviously much lower than where I was. And at one point, Bobby Clark just got beat red in the face. He said, "Oh, you're just being stubborn." And he's screaming and yelling. And both Mr. Snyder and I are looking at him. I was looking at Mr. Snyder, so I could tell he was looking at him like, what is going on with this guy? So he got done. I go, "Bobby, are you done now?" He goes, "Yes, I'm done." Then he sat down, didn't talk anymore. Mr. Snyder and I figured out the contract. Yeah, it's funny.
Got you a good deal?
Some people say like that I held out. I never held out. I actually took offense to that. We signed before camp started. It just took a long time to get it done.
Definitely.
And because it got a little nasty and the media started to kind of get impatient with it, I put so much pressure on myself in year 2 to live up to what that first year was. And you mentioned Shesterkin not having as good a year. I mean, his save percentage last year was out of control.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, how do you follow that up?
Yeah.
The bar is set way too high.
Yeah. So I got to tell one funny story. Boucher does some great imitations of people. And he tells me that he wasn't even trying this, but Tim Panaccio was a reporter for, the Enquirer, I think it was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So during these negotiations we were talking about, Panaccio would be calling me all the time. So I was driving up to see Boucher up in Rhode Island, and he calls me on the cell phone. And he starts doing the Panaccio imitation. And I actually bought it. I thought it was Tim Panaccio on the phone. So I'm talking to Boucher like it's really Tim Panaccio. I'm trying to be very professional, not give up too much information. Now, Boucher all along thinks that I really know that it's not Panaccio.
I think you're in on it, right?
But so after a while, Boucher goes, "You think it's really Tim Panaccio? It's me. It's Boucher." And at first I didn't buy it because I thought Panaccio was trying to pull a fast one on me or something like that. But Boucher just died laughing. It was excellent. I mean, can you please just do the Dominic Hasek for me a little bit?
Oh, I don't know. For me, I must try for a Stanley Park. I don't know. I try for win the Stanley Cup, and I play in Buffalo, but I know that Brett Hull he's footing in the crease, and I don't know. For me, for my country, I must try for a Stanley Park.
Oh God, that's amazing. We did an interview with Doc Emmerich one time, and we brought up the fact that you do all these invitations. So I guess you've done it for the guys.
Doc will still text me, and he'll call me Dom. He'll be like, Dom, are you drinking Pilsner right now?
Oh, the best. I'll tell you, the Hasek was the best, I think, but you do a lot of them too. So
Who else you got?
Oh gosh, no, this is not what we're doing, is it? I mean, the fact that I gave him a Hasek there, that is not for public consumption. You know what I mean?
Who's that one?
The Hasek?
No. What are you doing now? Are you doing yourself? Or
No. I'm just saying, I didn't come on here to do
He's giving us one. That's it.
Show here,
Well, yes, it can be Boucher from your on. Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a Laidlaw impression?
No, I don't. Oddly enough. I used to like to do my coaches, and that was one thing that I used to like to do. Like Roger Nielsen, you'd say like, that's crazy. Like, why would you do that? Like, he would never swear. He'd always say he never swore. He's such a nice man. He's like, you guys just keep turning the puck over. Like, that's just crazy.
Oh, that's classic stuff. All right, so how many years did you have in Philadelphia then?
Oh God, I was 4 separate stints there. So
that's right. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. Maybe 7 or 8. I don't know. I mean, I was drafted in '95, traded in 2002.
Yeah.
Who did you get traded for?
Oh, the first trade I was traded for Michael Handzus and Robert Esch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you leave Philadelphia, you go to Phoenix. Things went pretty well there too, right?
Well, we were, I played 45 games that first year in Phoenix, and Sean Burke was hurt a lot more than he was supposed to be. So I played a lot, to be honest with you, more than I expected. And our team wasn't as good. So it was a little, and that's where, I was trying to change my style, the way I played. And I think it didn't go as well as I would have liked, but I loved living there. That's for sure.
Right. So a lot of people will know if you look up who's got the most shutouts in a row in the National Hockey League history. Brian Boucher, 5 in a row, right?
That's right.
Wow, how was that?
Oh, that was great, because get the writing on the wall that they don't have me in their plans really. So come back the next year, they put me on waivers. Nobody claims me, but they keep me there, and I'm not practicing with the team for a month and a half to start the season. And I remember talking to you, and we were kind of confused, and so I finally went and talked to Bobby Francis, the head coach, after like a month or so. And I said, Bobby, what's going on here? And Bobby was a good guy. He said, I've been waiting for you to walk through the door for a month now. He's like, what the hell took you so long? I was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to be like, I'm not trying to be like a jerk here. You know what I mean? Like, I thought my time was going to come where I could practice with the team. And I'm literally taking shots from, Pat Connaughton. assistant coach, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like, how do you stay sharp doing that? And he told me, he's like, look, this was all one guy's decision, and to have you not, and that's when I really like, I got really mad at that point. And wouldn't you know it, like, things happen in crazy ways. Sean Burke and Zach Burke ended up getting hurt, like almost like within a day or two of each other. So now I went from third string to having to play, and I get in there and I get on this shutout run. And
it was right away. I didn't realize it was right away. Wow.
It was pretty quick turnaround. And I had a huge chip on my shoulder, man. Like I wanted to kill people. Like I was just like, I just wanted this so bad. So when I got that record, it felt really good. But then reality hit the other way. We were a bad team, and all things even out in the end, you know.
So during that streak, though, you're saying to yourself, "Oh, this is unbelievable," or like you're thinking, "No, this is me. I'm this good. I can do this."
Well, you convince yourself that this is you and you're this good, but the reality is you got to catch some breaks along the way, right? I mean, pucks that missed the net that you didn't see, hit posts, stuff like that. So I mean, everything lined up perfectly, but it felt great and it lasted. I think it would have started before Christmas because Sean Burke got hurt in a game in Nashville, and he had to leave in the second period, and so I came in relief, and we ended up tying that game, and then I played a game after Christmas, and it carried all the way to January 9th, I think. So it lasted a long time, like when you think about it. So the attention that it drew, within our local market, which thank God it was Phoenix and not Toronto, would have been nuts. But it was fun. It felt great. But again, like the expectations to get a shutout every single game, I mean, it's unrealistic.
Do you think anybody will ever break that? That's a tough one to break.
Nope, nobody will. I will say, and I've said it plenty of times, and I'll say it with confidence. It won't happen now because of the rule changes to the game. Like now we've got no red line. There was a red line back then. People don't even know what that is. There's 3-on-3 overtime. Forget about it. I mean, it's not happening. There's no chance that anybody's going to break it. And I don't say it because I'm being cocky. I'm just saying it because of the way the game is set up now.
Sure.
Look at the scores of these games. Are you kidding me? I mean, these goaltenders, it's frightening to be a goaltender today.
Yeah, scoring is up, right? It's going up and up every year now.
It is, yeah. Well, it was up a couple weeks ago, I think, at Thanksgiving. Whether it's still up now, I mean, It probably is, yeah.
Right. So how long were you in Philly there? In Phoenix?
4 years, but we had a lockout. We lost a year. Remember, we had that one lockout. That was fun. I went to Sweden for that one.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you did. Yeah, definitely. So after Phoenix, where were you next?
Then I traded to Calgary for Steven Reinprecht and Philip Sauve. Myself and Mike Leclerc went to Calgary. Played 3 games for the Flames for Darryl Sutter. He was nuts.
Really?
He was a GMN coach, man.
Oh, that's right.
I thought I was intense, and I thought I'd seen intensity around the NHL. This guy was on another planet on game day.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, he was crazy, yeah. But I played, Mika Kiprasov was there. So Kipper was like unbelievable guy, never took a game off. So there was no spot for me to play there. So only 3 games in 3 months.
And you played a little bit for Gretzky too at Phoenix, right at the end?
I did. Yep. Yeah, I got
raised in
from the Gretzky regime. Yeah.
Was he intense as Sutter?
He was intense. Like he yelled at the referees from the minute the puck dropped. That's what I remember. Like he just started screaming at the refs, and I think he'd lose his voice probably midway through the first period. But I think he was frustrated. I mean, like, this is the great one, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and he's watching this pile of crap that's on the ice. You know what I mean? These guys can't even make a 5-foot pass. Meanwhile, Wayne could make a 50-foot backhand sauce pass with his eyes closed if he wanted to. So I just think it was, that was, I think that was a frustrating, team from the coach, but it still was great to be around him on a daily basis. Yeah.
It was like that to play with him too, because he was so skilled, and I'd go there and chop the puck up into like 10 pieces. And he's looking at me like, "Oh my God, Tom, just pass me the puck." Seriously, you felt like that, right, when you were playing with him, because you're thinking, it's Wayne Gretzky. I mean, especially when you first started playing with him, it's like, just get Wayne the puck, and just trying to pass to him all the time. He finally came to me at one point and said, "Listen, Tom, you don't have to get me the puck all the time." I said, he's good. He's a good man, though, right? I mean, he's it
was great. I mean, like, to be around greatness like that. it's a privilege. I mean, you don't see that every day in the NHL. So although I got traded from there, and it probably was the right thing from their standpoint, and for me, I wish it would have been a little bit longer had we not had the lockout year, maybe even been a year prior.
Yeah. So after Calgary, where next?
Calgary, I go to Dave Marcoon, Chicago. The goalie coach asked me if I wanted to come back to Calgary, and I said I'd rather go to the minors than play 3 games in 3 months. And I almost went to the minors. Patrick Lalime had back surgery for Chicago. Oh, Tom, maybe you don't remember this, but remember when Rick DiPietro signed that big deal?
Yep.
With the Islanders? You were telling me you're going to sign with the Island, and I was waiting, and because Garth Snow retired, and I thought, I'm going to go to the Island, and then they signed Mike Dunham out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And I know Snowy was tight with Dunny because they played at college together, but I was like, oh man. So then the music stopped and there was no cheers. And thankfully Patrick Lalime hurt his back, and I went to Chicago on a tryout. And first game I played, first preseason game, got a shutout, and they came in and gave me a league minimum contract after that. So that was a close call.
I remember he had Stan Bowman I was negotiating with him. He was assistant GM at the time. And he kept saying, we can only give him a 2-way contract. I said, no, we're not signing a 2-way contract. And then finally, Dale Talon called. He says, what do you want, Tommy? He says, well, we got to get a 1-way contract. He said, okay, we get it done. I felt bad for Stan Bowman because Dale Talon was the guy,
It was $475.
Is that what it was? Yeah. Well. So then after Chicago, how long were you in Chicago?
3/4 of a season. And then when Lalime came back from back surgery, they put me on waivers, and I got claimed by Columbus.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And then, and I don't know if you remember this one, like I won 1 game in Chicago that year. Like I'd gone from Calgary, like I was a starting goalie in Phoenix, went to Calgary, never played, came to Chicago, skin of my teeth, just about get a contract, put on waivers, go to Columbus, playing behind this guy, Frederick Narina, who I'd never heard of. And I was like, what is going on? As we're in a practice. This is an unbelievable story. So we're in a practice with like 4 games left in the year. We just built a house in Phoenix, and I got traded from there. And my wife was like, just finish out the year. At the end of the year, we're going to go to Phoenix with the kids and enjoy the sun. It's going to be great and all beautiful. And I said, all right. So we're at practice. It's an optional skate. And this kid, Jeff Platt on Columbus, who just a gnat. Like he worked way too hard, and we were not even making the playoffs. So everybody's annoyed by this. I remember Adam Foote tried to kill this kid at a practice because he was practicing too hard.
Right.
And so he shoots it high on me, and I turn around. I said, I swear to God, I said, if you hit me high one more time, I go, we're gonna fight. And he's like, whatever. The next kid comes down is this kid Joachim Lindstrom, who's like super skilled, like really good player. Comes in, next shot, right underneath the bar, and hits the back bar. And everybody in line starts going, oh, like that, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't believe what he did. So I snap, I take my stick and I smash it on the net, and I dislocate my shoulder.
I didn't know. I forgot all about that.
I dislocate my shoulder. Gord Murphy skates over to me. He's like, what's wrong? I go, I think my shoulder's dislocated. He's like, shut up. I go, I'm not lying to you. I had to get off the ice. Columbus suspends me without pay. And they said they wouldn't pay for my surgery because it was done in a non-hockey related incident.
Really?
And so then I had shoulder surgery that summer.
Did they ultimately had to pay? Ultimately, didn't they?
Ultimately, no. My insurance paid for it.
Oh, wow.
And then now we're at the point where I finally said I have to make a change in my life, and I made the change to. It wasn't Tom's fault, but I did. I was like,
see you later, Laidlaw.
And so I ended up in the minors the next year. Thankful that Paul Holmgren. I called him, and he says, "I'll give you a 1-way AHL contract for $100,000." I said, "I don't care about the NHL." I said, "I just want to play."
Right.
I haven't played in the last 3 years with the lockout plus. I've lost my confidence. I just want to play hockey. And I went down to the minors in Philly and played 47 games up until the trade deadline. And then San Jose signed me to an NHL deal after that as a free agent.
I forgot about the San Jose stint. How long were you in San Jose?
A year and almost a year and a half. So I went from the trade deadline because I was on an AHL deal, and Paul kept saying to me, he's like, we're going to sign into an NHL contract. I just got to trade a contract. And I said, okay. And then I told him, I said, San Jose is interested. What do I do? And he said, do what you got to do. So I ended up going to San Jose for a year and a bit. And it was great. And I played great there. I had played on great teams, great people, and it rejuvenated my whole career. But none of that happens without Paul Holmgren giving me an opportunity to play 47 games up until late February that year in the month.
He's a good man too. Yeah.
Great man.
Yeah.
And then he brings you back.
Believes in second chances, third chances. Without him, none of it happens for me.
That's cool.
And then he brings you back to the Flyers in 2009, right?
Exactly. So I went to San Jose, and then after a year and a bit, they signed that, or they were in the sweepstakes for Jonas Gustafsson. Like, remember that guy, the monster that they call? I don't know. Anyway, I decided to go sign in Philly. I wasn't waiting around for that nonsense. They signed me to a 2-year deal, and we went to the Stanley Cup final my first year back.
Was that the year you beat the Rangers in the last game of the regular season?
You got us, buddy.
So I've got to ask you this question then. So when you guys won, you did the little pumpernickel thing there. You were imitating Henrik Lundqvist, weren't you?
Yep.
Yes, you know it. I knew it. So Henrik Lundqvist,
here's the thing. I slipped on my way up from my save on Jokinen.
Yes. I remember.
I wish I could go back in time and fix that. You know what I mean? Because here was the thing. We played them in game 81 at MSG, right? And all we had to do was either win or get a point. And we clinch a playoff spot. And they're up 4-3 late in the game. And they hang on for the win as I'm on the bench because they pulled the goalie. We're pressing, and Lundqvist, seals the win, right? And when he wins, he always does this thing where he takes his stick and he goes like this, and then he goes like that, right? And I'm watching him, and I'm just like, I said, I swear to God, if we win in game 82, I'm doing that celebration.
That's fine.
I thought about it the whole train ride home. And then we get to the shootout, and this guy's like the best shootout goaltender in the history of hockey against me, this bum. You know what I mean?
No, stop it.
Oh my God. I swear I went to the bathroom in my pants before the shootout, and we ended up winning. And but I didn't forget to do the celebration.
Did other people recognize that that's what you were doing? Did other people mention it?
No. I'm actually, this is probably the first time I'm ever saying it. The fact that you knew that is pretty interesting.
I remember we knew each other, obviously, right? And I've seen Lundqvist play so many times, and I said, when you did it, I said, he did that on purpose. He's imitating Henrik Lundqvist.
I was like, suck on that, eh? You know?
I wonder if he noticed. They probably had his head down or something anyways, because
he's probably like, he's like, well, I'm way better looking than the guy. I got way better cars.
But he's not better on TV. He's not better on TV, though, that's for sure.
No, that's debatable. He does a great job.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
So, Brian, you guys win that game. You squeak into the playoffs on the last day of the season, and you go on this ridiculous run. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It was unbelievable. Timing is everything, and I think getting into the playoffs is a big accomplishment. But if you can get in playing good hockey at the right time, that's even more important. And we rode a wave of confidence, and we had a lot of injuries in those playoffs. I mean, we beat Jersey in 5. They were the 2 seed. We were 7. We ended up being 7 with that win, by the way. Montreal got in at 8. And so this is what happened. We beat Jersey in 5, but we lose Jeff Carter and I believe Simon Gagne in that series. So we're plugging in these minor league guys, yet we still continue to win because we're just riding a wave right now. But the other wave that was taking place was the Canadians upset Washington in round 1, I believe, and at round 2 upset Pittsburgh. So now, all of a sudden,
it's wide open.
We get Boston in the second round, and we fall down 3-0 and battle back.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And on the other side of it, Pittsburgh and Washington are out of it. So now it's like you get Montreal in the conference final. They were out of gas. I mean, Halak was unconscious for 2 rounds. Against us, they couldn't even get over the red line. So everything lined up perfectly for us. It was an amazing spring.
Now, were you playing all the games then?
No, I got hurt in the second round against Boston. We were game 5. So we won game 4 at home to stave off elimination. Then game 5, I was reaching back for a puck in the second period. It was trickling in. And as I was reaching back, my defenseman hit Miroslav Shatan onto my chest, and I couldn't get my legs out. I might be the first ever documented double knee sprain. I sprained both my MCLs.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
Oh, yeah. Wow. It was like the first ever. I don't know. but it was such a weird injury. And I missed the rest of the Boston series. Michael Leighton came in.
That's
and finished up and ended up winning. Then he played against Montreal, and then I was back for the final, although not 100%.
Right.
But I'm back.
And that's against Chicago, right? Chicago won that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goal. Kane scored the goal. They didn't know it was it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. By the way, that was not me in goal for that goal.
I know.
But you were on dry island at that point, though, right?
Yeah.
You know about that, Tom?
No, let's try on.
Well, Brian can tell you it's a good one.
What is it?
Well, that was so there was there was some rumors that guys on our team like to get after it a little bit.
Okay.
In the city of Philadelphia. So in an effort to get those younger guys who are good players to tone it down, the head coach at the time, Peter Laviolette, decided to make a pact, and we called it the Dry Island. And how this ever got out, I'm not really sure. But now that it's out, I may as well. So you had to put your name on the board to commit to Dry Island. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, number one, I don't have a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not out ever. I got 2 kids. I live at home. If I want to have a glass of wine with steak, am I allowed to have that at home? You know? And so I didn't put my name on the board. And
You're the only one that didn't.
One of the few that didn't. I said, I don't know why. I'm going to go. What am I? I'm going to say I'm going to do it and then not do it. I'm just being honest. I probably won't do it. I want to have a glass of red wine with my steak at home. Is there an issue?
Sure.
So. Yeah, so eventually I had to come around and make sure that I was on board with that, but I wasn't the one with the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard about those problems. Yes, a couple of guys.
Yeah. So I never saw it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
like I said, I was.
Yeah, same here. So now, what happens a year after that?
Then they signed Sergei Bobrovsky in Philly.
Oh.
I was partners with Bobrovsky. We lost in the second round to Boston. We fell behind 3-0 that year in the second round, but we didn't come back on this one. We got swept by Boston, and they went on to win the cup that year. And then after that, that was it. Then the Flyers got into the Ilya Bryzgalov sweep.
Well, that's right. So was that kind of a forced retirement, or were you ready to pack it in?
Oh no, I didn't retire. I had to go sign in Carolina because they didn't know. So they kept Bobrovsky and Bryzgalov, and I believe they're still paying Briz right now. And I said this to him a couple of times. I told Briz that he owes me 10% of his contract. I said because I was so shitty for the Flyers that Mr. Snyder went out and signed him to whatever he signed him to.
Oh.
He could have he said, you write the check, And I said, so he owes me 10% of that deal for my part in what I did for him. But
do you have a good Briz impression?
He's not. I think it's what everybody says. No, I really don't. The universe is humongous big, but I think it's what everybody says. It's really not specific.
Was he really that funny? Like, he seems like a real funny man. Is he?
I got traded back from Carolina to Philly as, again, one of those comeback to Philly stories. And I got to meet Briz for the first time, and I actually liked him. I mean, I think he's a funny guy. Is he out there? For sure. He's out there, but I like him. I find him enjoyable to be around. I think, but at the end of the day, guys only care about if you stop the puck or not. If you don't stop the puck, then they hate your guts.
So you got back to Philly, Carolina. Was that it then? Is that the last stint for you in Philly?
Yeah, so that's another funny story. I'm in Carolina in the off season. We're heading into another lockout again.
That's
another lockout.
Yep.
And I'm at the pool. There's a pool club in South Jersey, and I'm there on Father's Day with my kids, and I'm on the 3-meter diving board, right? And my son goes, "Dad, do a cannonball," right? And I'm like, "No, it's gonna hurt if I do that." So I dive, right? I dive into the pool off the 3-meter, overshoot the dive, okay, and dislocate my shoulder upon entry into the pool. The same shoulder that I did in Columbus, okay?
Yeah.
I get out, my son's laughing, I get out of the water, and I'm like, there's a nurse who's there, she's like, "I'm a nurse." I was like, pop it back in. She's like, "I'm not popping it back in." So I had to drive to the hospital, my wife and kids. Now the pain's setting in. I'm in a wet bathing suit. The kids are crying, right? I get to it's Father's Day. There's nobody there. There's no doctor. Like, they can't put it back in. I have to call an orthopedic who's out to dinner with his family, and he has to come in. They put me to sleep to pop it back in. I had shoulder surgery, and Then we had a lockout, and it was a mess. And I ended up in the minors after the lockout, and then I retired. And then I ended up going to Switzerland. Last second deal. My agent Bob Murray called and said, "Hey, you want to go to Switzerland?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, it's pretty good money." So I did. I stole a few more bucks there before I called it quits. Yeah.
What'd you, like one more year or part of a year there?
Like 2 months.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So now the broadcasting starts. And I remember us having a conversation we were just getting started. You remember that conversation? I don't know how we got on the phone together.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you were calling for.
You said you got into doing radio before.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I did the color in the first year for the San Jose Sharks too. Yeah. They had hired Dennis Hall, and he's a fantastic public speaker, just like me. And, but he just couldn't do a very good job on the TV, so they hired me to do it. And I think that's how we got talking. You were interested in getting into broadcasting.
Wait, but Brian, how does that call? Is that the first time you guys talked since the firing, or have you talked in between that?
No, we had talked since, I think maybe a few times. Yeah. I think you may have reached out to me late. Something happened where you reached out to me, so I felt comfortable talking to you about it. Yeah, because I didn't know where I was going with it. It was all very new to me.
Yeah, and I remember I said to you too, because I really believed in your personality. I thought, that's going to be perfect for you. I remember saying to you, just don't settle for being the Philadelphia guy, right? Like there's more to it there for you. So, did you have a plan? Did you think you'd be doing what you're doing now?
I think being truthful, I thought that I could do national stuff for sure, but you just don't know when you're going to get the opportunity, how it's going to play out. Kind of like when you're a kid and you say you want to play in the NHL. I think I knew I wanted to do this when I was done playing. I just didn't know how it would all play out. A lot of people helped me along the way. Like Keith Jones is like one of the best guys ever in the world, and an ex-teammate of mine, and every step of the way, he helped me, put me in front of people, introduced me to people, and got me to where I needed to get to. And without people like that, helping you get there. Joe Whalen, a guy who produces now for TNT, he was at NHL Network at the time. He put an introduction into me at NBC Sports. So like these people do. Elliot Friedman was another guy that made a call to the NHL network to get me there. So without people doing these things for you, you don't get an opportunity. I'm forever grateful to all those guys. But like the one guy, Jonesy, I call him all the time for advice and ask him for help on certain things, and he helps me through a lot of stuff. I mean, he's one of the greatest teammates in hockey and away from hockey that I've had.
Well, the key is for that too, that they know you're going to do the work too. Like it's not like I think people will help people who they know will work and really be proud that they recommended them too, right? So that's you. So, yes, they're good people. They wouldn't just do it for anybody. They had to do it for you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But still, not everybody's willing to go the extra mile for people, and those guys did, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. And how many kids you have now? 2 kids?
2, yeah.
And Ty, he is drafted by the second round by Ottawa, correct?
Oh, come on, man. First rounder.
First rounder. Oh, that's right.
We don't. Boucher only do first round.
That's right.
But Tom's not his agent.
That's right. Yeah.
He was drafted last summer by Ottawa in the first round. He's 10th overall. He's playing for the 67s this year. He just wrapped up his second suspension of the season. This one was a 2-gamer. Yeah, so he's been suspended a total of 8 games so far.
What was the suspension for? What did he do?
He was the aggressor in a fight, I was told, but there was really no communication from the league to the player. Yeah, and in the other one, unfortunately, a kid was injured pretty badly on a body check. They said it was a slew foot. I don't think it was a slew foot, but he got 6 games for that. So unfortunately, he's missed 8 games due to suspension, but he'll be back on Thursday. Right. And fun to watch him play.
Right. He had started at BU, right, at Boston University, and then moved over to Virginia. Right.
Yeah, it was a tough. A lot of bodies there after COVID. Seniors given another year. He was coming off of knee surgery. I don't think he was entirely ready for this. He wasn't ready. You know what I mean? And with the numbers and everything, it just wasn't a great situation for him, I think, from a development standpoint. Right. And we made the decision, based upon the conversation that we had right when I was at that age. You said you can always go back to hockey. You can always go back to school. I gave him that same advice and thinking like, look, we need you to go to a place where you can play games, because his draft year, he missed a bunch of games. He had COVID twice, and he had two knee injuries. One was one was pretty bad that he missed like 8 weeks, and then he battled back from all of it. And then at the end of the year, he got hit low. A kid hit him low, and it was right at the end before the World Championships, and he ended up having to have knee surgery. So he didn't play a lot his draft year because of all that stuff, and he was behind the 8 ball. So like with all that, I'm just thinking like he needs to get playing games. Yeah. Not so much about practices. And the kid is like, he's incredibly strong. He looks at a weight and gets bigger.
I saw him work. I saw one of the workout videos. He's doing deadlifts. So yeah,
he's totally opposite than me. But yeah, I mean, so it's not like he needs. Some kids in college need the weight room. They need the extra time off the ice. He needs time on the ice. He needs to be in game situations. So they're having a good year. The team's good. They're 21-4. Whether he's in the lineup or out of the lineup, they seem to be rolling. But when he's in there, he certainly brings an element to the game that is like, it's physical. It's it's a bit of old school.
Oh, is it nice? I like that.
Yeah, it's not lacrosse goals. It's like driving through people.
Oh, I love that. That's good.
I do too.
Brian, can we talk about draft day for your son? Because that's a perspective very few people have, that you're there as a dad.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. And the one thing that stunk was that it was a different draft experience those 2 years. His year and the 2020 draft was because of COVID, right? Oh, yeah. So it was remote, and so you don't get the same feeling that I had when Tom picked me up in Edmonton at the airport and all that, and you sit in the stands, which is so unfortunate for all those kids that we have for a few years. But in saying that, it still was a very cool moment. And I think for Tyler, considering all of the heartbreak that he had that draft year with injuries and COVID and such, I think he was surprised he went as high as he did. I was surprised he went as high as he did, but I also knew that there were a lot of teams in that first round picking between 10 and 25 that really liked them. And so I think it was one of those situations where if you like them that much, it's one of those where you got to grab them or you're not going to get them. You know what I mean? And I think maybe fans don't understand that. Like they look at points and they think, oh, it's about a guy that scores 200 points a year. It's great, but I think there are certain intangibles that they look in players that they like that are just hard to find. Like I'm not, and I hate using this comparison, but it's like, he's not Tom Wilson because Tom Wilson he's his own guy, right? But a player like that, where is that guy?
Yeah, every team wants one.
Yeah, totally. So that's who you compare him to? You compare him to Tom Wilson, that kind of play?
It's like that. It's like that. It's the physicality, but the ability to play with good players, I think the ability to score, he hasn't done it at the level that other people have been able to see, but I think it's there. I believe that he can be a 20 to 25 goal scorer in the NHL, but also, be able to hit like a truck, and you got to fight. You know what I mean?
I like that.
That might be offensive to some people, but I don't know. I know as an ex-hockey player, that's a guy that I want in my locker room.
And every fan base in the NHL wants that too. As much as they hate Tom Wilson, they would love to have him on their team too, right?
I agree with that. Yeah. But I want to be clear. He's not.
I got you.
One person. I don't want to make it. It's disrespectful to Tom the player, But I will say that I love Tom Wilson as a player. I've been saying it forever, Yeah. I just
Ranger fans don't do much. That's for sure.
Does Tyler ever hold it over your head? He's like, Dad, I'm 10th overall. You're 22. Is he ever like?
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, he's got a mouth on him, so he lifts me off.
Does he?
All the time. Oh yeah, all the time.
Good.
So, yeah.
Is he the oldest of your two children?
Yeah, my daughter Brianna is. She's 18. She's a senior in high school, so we're waiting on college acceptances right now. So good. Yeah,
You're down there in South Jersey, right?
Moved last year back to Rhode Island.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah, we're back to Rhode Island. Yeah, closer to family. My parents are gone, unfortunately.
That's right.
My wife lost her father last year, so
he was a good man too. I liked him.
Yeah.
He was the truck driver, wasn't he? He was the truck driver. Yeah.
Guy. Yeah. You guys had a bond.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
License, definitely. The Class C license or whatever.
There you go. So I'm sorry I disappointed you today too. You probably thought I was going to be on the show with no shirt, correct? Like after being on Survivor and everything.
Listen, the fact that you do it the way you do it, with supplements and illegal drugs, probably not something to be proud of,
Oh, it's a shame to put it like, you don't put a Picasso on the wall and then put a blanket over top of it, right? It's like putting a shirt on. It's like, why would I feel like I have to have a shirt on, but it's a shame, actually, yeah.
You are in good shape, though. That's for sure.
Bush would call me up all the time. Can you please put a shirt on? Please put a shirt on.
I'm looking at Twitter and it's making me sick. I'm like, serious.
Struggle to deal, bro.
We get it. You're strong,
I have to remind myself every once in a while, yeah.
And everyone around him.
Yeah. Bush. Well, listen, I know we joke around about, me being your age and all that kind of stuff, but seriously, you were a fantastic client, fantastic person, a fantastic father. And you had one heck of a career too. You called yourself a bum there a while ago or something. But what I really liked about your career, Bush, was that you had these great moments. You had some down moments, but you always were fired. Like, you always fight back. You weren't giving up. And that's like, when we have Paul Holmgren giving you a chance down the minors, yes, that's nice of him, but you really had to do something with that opportunity too. So you should be very proud of your career. It's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. Honestly, when I look back, I think it's the one quality that even though I would have down days, and we all do, you know what I mean? You get down on yourself and you don't believe in yourself, you lose confidence. But yeah, I always tried to fight and battle and scrape and claw. And yeah, it would have been great to have been a Hall of Famer and win 4 Stanley Cups. Sure. And, those guys have struggles too. Yeah. Maybe we just don't see them, but you know what I mean? Yeah, it's the one thing that I'm most proud of is that I never gave up, and I came back several times when people probably didn't think I could do it, and I think that's, if for athletes out there, any kid that's coming up now, that's probably the biggest quality you got to have, I think, if you're going to make it.
Yeah. Life is not fair. You're going to make mistakes, and you just keep on battling through. You keep on getting up. Yeah, I agree totally.
And nowadays it's so hard because like these kids can see social media, and like when I was in Philly, I consciously didn't read newspapers here in Philly, and I didn't listen to sports radio. Yeah. So if you do that, you give yourself a fighting chance, because it's a tough town for goaltenders, for sports in general. Like if you're playing poorly, they're going to get on you. And I was so ignorant to all of it. For the most part, like I didn't really know what the hell people were saying about me. I just was in my own bubble.
Yeah, best way.
But now these kids are on their devices, and they see, you got fans that are just chiming in. There's supposed experts on prospects, and they just kill kids. They just absolutely annihilate them, and yet we wonder why people have mental health issues. I mean,
I agree totally. Social media.
So you got to find a way to block it out. Don't listen to any of it. Yep. But it is what it is.
Bush, that is true. Whatever your dream is, whether it's sports or school or just your personal life, don't listen to other people, right? And I agree with you 100%. You decide what you want to do. You have your own dreams, and you follow those dreams. Don't let anybody take it away from you. You certainly did that, Bush. You did that too. So you're very proud of yourself. You had a great career after your playing career too. You've done really well at that. And then you did a great job in firing me. And then your career took off again. Other than that, everything's good. So. Bush, it was great to see you. Seriously, I'm very proud of you. Like everything in your life, you had a fantastic career. You're a tremendous husband, father, and you've done a great job on air too. So good job.
Thanks, Lades. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything you did for me too. Like it was a great run. Like I said, I wish it could have. I wish we had 4 Stanley Cups, and
totally.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, brother. It's great to see you again.
All right.
So that was great. Boucher, he fired you, and you guys are still friends. And
I don't like the guy at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Being friends.
Come on, terrible dude. You can tell he's quite fond of you. Plus, he does a killer Dominic Hasek impression. That was awesome.
I forgot. I mean, the story we told about the Tim Panaccio, the reporter out of Philadelphia. I really thought he knew what he was doing. So we'll get into that story.
But he got you with that. And he seems like he's very good on TV, and it was a great interview. He had some good stories. Yeah, it was really cool to hear.
Yeah, and I didn't realize the stuff after he had fired me and moved on. Realized some of the
which
stuff
was a great move, obviously.
If it worked for me.
But yeah, great story. Great. He was a good character.
Yeah, great guest. Great personality too. Yeah, he's really done well in his career.
Yeah, and an incredible run. Was it 5 shutouts in a row? That probably will never be broken.
Yeah, but his agent at the time was me, but he fired me. So yeah,
that's probably why though, because of his agent. He was trying to impress you, I guess, get that contract.
All right, Grasshoppers. Thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.